members of the Air Force Command Council, retired and serving generals, serving officers commanding bases and units, senior and junior officers, warrant officers of the Air Force, non-commissioned officers, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm greetings and best wishes for the year from the South African Air Force Executive Council. It is my singular honor and privilege to welcome you all back to your respective duties after the past year's festive period. Under normal circumstances, the Air Force Day is celebrated with pomp and jubilation throughout the country. However, with the new normal brought by the COVID-19, we are here today to celebrate the Air Force through this virtual event. As we acknowledge the history of our Air Force and celebrate 27 years of a democratic South African Air Force, may we rise to the occasion to help the nation dissolve the barriers of race, religion, and political divide. Let us embrace our differences with understanding and compassion. Our museums on all the bases have captured a timeline on the history of the Air Force to date with a deep sense of neutrality and in totality. As we strive to embrace our collective heritage and social cohesion, Air Force invite you to participate in the country's nation-building efforts, where Air Force observes days of honor and remembrance with appropriate ceremonies and in context. As we mark the Air Force's history pre-1994, we must be mindful of declaring human rights violations that occurred. The country's history books have February 1920 as the birth of military aviation in South Africa. Culminating from the Imperial Conference of 1917 and a report by General Jan Smuts, the country received an imperial gift comprised of 113 aircraft and included steel frames from 20 hangars and everything else required to start and operate an Air Force. Swartkop Airfield became the first military airfield and thus the oldest active airfield in the world today. Over the years, the South African Air Force has evolved with as many missions, exercises, and operations, as well as how it relates to the people of South Africa. The Constitution of South Africa of 1996 pronounces that the primary objectives of the defense is to defend and protect the Republic, its territorial integrity, and its people in accordance with the Constitution and the principles of international law regulating the use of force. The role of the country's armed forces must be informed by the understanding of sovereignty, the value exchange between the state and the citizenry, and the exchanging nature of the conflict. With the dawn of democracy, the South African Air Force began a new era in 1994. Transformation over the past 2.5 decades has brought about a change in composition, structure, and hardware with a new vision since 2013 of an Air Force that inspires confidence. I trust you all had enough time to rest as you spend quality time with your families and friends, despite the accompanying challenges brought to you by COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to pay homage to our members who have departed this world due to the pandemic. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Ladies and gentlemen, for some time now, defense spending has been in a critical state of decline. The Defense Review of 2015 has been developed with a plan to arrest the decline of the South African National Defence Force. However, unfortunately, no funding has been received to attend to the decreasing capabilities of the South African National Defence Force. The Air Force air defense capabilities are under pressure, including air transport and maritime capability, very important person capability, air combat capability, and command and control capability. The continued reduction of flying hours will impact negatively on safe Air Force flight operation at the strategic VVIP operation, force employment and tactical force preparation levels. Of great concern to the Air Force is the status of facilities and infrastructure. This is a direct result of a lack of maintenance of state property and the closing of the maintenance backlog. The main reason for the status of the facilities is a lack of maintenance, coupled with normal wear and tear and neglect and aging of buildings. The current decline in facilities and infrastructure maintenance not only affects the Air Force's operational capabilities, but has a direct impact on the morale of South African Air Force personnel, especially during the challenging times such as COVID-19. As a client of the National Department of Public Works, known as NDPW, the Air Force cannot take responsibility for maintaining state property. We do not have the mandate, proper expertise, and basis that faces many facilities challenges due to a lack of maintenance and deterioration of facilities. The Air Force as occupants are therefore forced to maintain these facilities using a limited operational budget. On 15 March 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa declared a state of disaster in South Africa. The South African National Defence Force was employed to release resources, including stores, equipment, vehicles, and facilities, as well as to release South African National Defence Force personnel to render emergency services as per Section 2 of 27 of the State of National Disaster Act. During Operation Notlela, the Air Force delivered exemplary service and recorded 1,000 operational flying hours. We will continue to perform our mandated task in the service of our country. The COVID-19 pandemic has wrought havoc across the globe, and many, if not all, employees have to adjust to a new dynamic. Nevertheless, it remains a general principle that success strongly hinges on the positive morale and attitude of people. COVID-19 brought fear into the heart of most people. Spiritually strong people can deal with these fears, but most people cannot, and they fell into despair, uncertainty, and anxiety, and became negative about everything and everybody around them. Adding to these anxieties are remote working with difficulties of working in makeshift home offices, perhaps with children learning at home, an unreliable internet connection, and worries about parents and families and friends who can no longer be seen. Employers will thus have to be mindful of how they can improve employees' mental health and morale. As such, employers will have to be flexible, and they will have to consider the challenges people are encountering in balancing their work lives with their personal lives. They will have to create opportunities for employees to pause and reflect, encourage healthy habits such as getting enough sleep, and develop a sense of community and shared purpose. Demonstrating empathy and flexibility, prioritizing workers' mental health, and creating psychological safety can have a meaningful impact not only on employees' experience, but also on how the employer perceives the future. Not only did the pandemic challenge Air Force members, but also our families. As the COVID-19 pandemic ensures, the Military Family Foundation locates itself in serving its community, the families of the South African National Defence Force. They connected military communities during the COVID-19 pandemic to minimize the sense of confusion, loneliness, and anxiety. In line with the Department of Defense imperatives, the Air Force for the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, will focus on the following areas. Explore the establishment war rooms to monitor stock and track the movement of components. Establish warehouses to reduce delivery turnaround time and address warranty challenges. Train and certify engineers and technicians in the Air Force to establish an in-house maintenance capability. Reconfigure the collective heritage program to ensure display of an all-inclusive history of the South African Air Force. Decentralize recruitment to level 4 to ensure that outreach programs culminate into a feeder system for the South African Air Force. In cognition of potential opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution, we will engender the Department of Higher Education, Science and Technology to explore ways of mutual benefit. Optimize the people care management plan by enhancing the spouses forum's endeavors regarding early childhood development. The Air Force will have to innovative to deliver on its intent to remain a small, responsive force that is acknowledged as the leading air force on the continent, able to fulfill its obligations in accordance with the Constitution and the intentions of the Commander-in-Chief in an effective, efficient, and economical manner. Despite all our challenges, we as disciplined soldiers, we should be sincere in everything that we do. We should do the right things even when nobody is looking at us. We must strive to ensure that our thoughts, words, and actions are without fault. We must demonstrate our integrity by accepting responsibility and being accountable to others. I wish to use this opportunity to welcome new members who are promoted and appointed to the Air Force Command Council. I welcome both Major Generals Sitete Daniel Malakwane and Jacobus Christoffel Johannes Butler, who resumed their duties of Chief Air Staff Logistics and Chief Air Staff Governance. May I also take this opportunity to bid farewell to the two council members who recently retired. We owe immense gratitude to Major General Stacia Jacobs and Motsabi Sehluhu for their contribution to the Air Force development. May God bless you in your future endeavors as you settle down in your retirement. In conclusion, we in the Air Force faces many challenges, and I am confident that I can count on each member of the Air Force to overcome the difficulties. We must remember that the COVID-19 pandemic is not over. Please remain vigilant and adhere to the non-pharmaceutical interventions, such as to keep your social distance, wash or sanitize your hands, and wear your mask. Let us all fight the spread of this pandemic. I thank you.